All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to anyone new listening. Welcome back to my quiz. This is the Curiosity Complex. I am Nat, and today um, I've got a really great guest on. He's actually my boss, so it's gonna be really fun. It is 8 a.m. in the morning. It's probably the earliest podcast I've ever done in my life. 'Cause I don't, to be honest, I don't normally see 8 a.m. So yeah, this is a new one.
Apologise for that and that.
All right, don't worry, it's fine. You got me up. It's fine. So yeah, let's just begin with Charlie. If you give us a bit of background on yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I am a passionate sports person. I started a sports coaching business nearly 2 years ago. So it's started our first sessions Jan 2018. Started just on my own, and it gradually sort of doing like 4 or 5 sessions a week. It's now grown to a point where we've got nearly 200 sessions a week. 25 part-time coaches, 6 full-time members of staff, plus HR support, payroll, admin, extras, and everything. So in a very sort of busy time of our growth as a business. That's a little bit about that. Plus, I always love sports. I've always been a passionate sports person, and I feel like the value that sports brings into other people's lives is, can be immense. Can have amazing outcomes, and I wanted to be a part of that for young people growing up, experiencing sport, and plus my passion for business. I sort of brought the two together, and running a sports coaching business.
Yeah, that's so cool. I totally agree with you. To be honest, like the impact that sport can have, especially with kids, is just ridiculous.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
you mentioned you started. I didn't actually know this. You started the business on your own. You just did some sessions under the name of uSports, and then kind of went from there. Is that right?
yeah. So I worked for. So I'm 23 now, 24 in 2 days.
Oh,
Um,
birthday 2 days.
yeah. And so yes, so from 15 I was doing work experience, working alongside other coaches, just voluntary work. As soon as I turned 16, got offered some paid opportunities with where I was able to start coming in assisting and getting £5-10 for the session, which then led on to picking that up, lead coaching, heading up much larger groups. I then got offered a full-time role in another sports coaching company where I was developing their school program. We separated, and so I then started in November 2017. I sort of left that employment and thought, right, I'm going to do it for myself,
Yeah.
and sort of amalgamated all the best bits of all the different sports coaching companies I'd worked for and tried to bring it all in as one. But before I did that, I thought, right, I went to the accountant, got it set up, and I was about to call it Chase Academy, which is
Okay.
Charlie Hiscox Academy of Sporting Excellence Academy. So it didn't actually make any sense, but I was so I was actually literally about 30 seconds away from like going ahead with that, and I called
Yeah.
my girlfriend. Thought, "You definitely happy with that?" She said, "No, go with your other idea, uSports." I thought, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll do it." And I'm like, never look back. No, I would have regretted calling it Chase Academy for the rest of my
Yeah.
life, I think. So yeah, that was cool. And then went out to. So once I got incorporated with the accountant and sort of HMRC, I then took a 3 week break, went out to Australia, scuba dived the Great Barrier Reef, saw some like amazing sights, and my brother was
Yeah.
living out there, so I thought I'd take that opportunity there. But now I then came back Jan and just hit it really hard. As designed my own website, created a. I was up till like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock every night, just like fiddling around with moving images, different places, and trying
Yeah.
to get it really good. But the amazing bit was being able to get out there and just coach so many children throughout the day. And as that picked up, more schools wanted a bit of the action, as it were.
Yeah.
So then people like yourself come on and get motivated young people who want to get involved with sports to come and join the team and grow together, sort of thing.
That's really good. That's amazing. That's a really incredible story.
Mm.
Um, so you mentioned I mean, it's a credit to yourself, to be honest, that you started this on your own, and then you built up so that you've got enough schools to more schools that you can throw a stick at. Um, and it's kind of it's pretty impressive. So what are sort of things that, like, in terms of coaching in general, if anyone's listening that is a coach or is thinking about going into coaching or anything like that,
Mm.
have you got any kind of tips or advice that you've learned over the years?
Yeah, definitely. I think it would go without saying that never find don't find a really good coach and just try and be exactly them, because at the end of the day you need to be able to show your own personality and who you are through your coaching. So I would definitely recommend getting out, seeing as many coaches as possible, just volunteering, especially in if you it depends what level you're coaching at, but if you wanted to get into the academy side, you know working in top level football academy, for example. If you're the one showing the face for 6 months, volunteering, going down there, helping out, sort out the cones, and just shadowing the stronger coaches in the academy, when an opportunity comes up, things like that don't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
But also, whether then if it's like a school sports coach, don't undervalue how important it is to just build relationships with people, whether that be the receptionists, the head teachers, the children, the parents, and just trying to learn a little bit more about everyone you sort of bump into, and see what sort of impact you can have on them. But yeah, as a coach, I think it's just important to make sure your sessions are that you want your sessions to be the best hour of that child's week, and think about how it's going to work. If it does, and if your sessions don't work, trust me, the amount of sessions I've mucked up on. I never go out there and say this is exactly the best way to do a coaching session, because you're going to make mistakes, and it's about how you come across it, how you deal with those mistakes. It's easy to blame maybe the school didn't have the right equipment, or they didn't have the children weren't interested in that sport, but actually, a lot of the time you think, if I had the best sports coach in the world right now with me, what is it they would do to encourage to make this session a success? And not blaming yourself, but actually taking a lot of that. What can I do to improve to make this session better for the child? It's definitely going in there with that sort of growth mindset of okay, that wasn't great, but what am I going to do, rather than just blaming it on the external factors, trying to bring it in on yourself, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's pretty interesting. Okay. So in terms of, like, things you maybe you mentioned everyone messes up. What are some of the things? Maybe share some experiences you've had that have been not so great, and how you maybe learned from them. Because I think a lot of people, like you say, people can learn a lot from mistakes, and
Yeah.
a lot of people are probably almost afraid in today's society. Almost like, it's getting pretty deep, but like people are almost afraid to make mistakes because they think you're going to look bad. The image is so important. But maybe what are some of the experiences that you've had that have not been as good as you maybe like?
Coaching wise or business
Yeah.
wise?
Well,
Yeah,
both,
coach.
both, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess like coaching, I think as a sports coach in a school, it's just the really simple things that it's just like you go into a school, you collect all the children, you go outside to start your netball session or whatever it is, and 5 minutes in, every kid in the class wants to go to the toilet, and it completely ruins your session. You come back in, and it's easy to explain to kids, why didn't you go to the toilet before you came out, but as a coach, it's your sort of, they're only like 6 or 7 years old, whatever it is, and I would say, that's a time of you as a coach, why didn't you got to ask them to go to the toilet. I think other times would be where you're trying to put in so much detail. So there's another time I was getting assessed for one of my coaching qualifications in football, and I had a mic attached to me. So the mentor was listening to me from the side of the pitch, and the session wasn't working. It was too small, the pitch, and I said to the children, I said, what do we think of the size of the pitch? They said, oh, it's too small. I said, oh, great, I'll make it bigger. And then I just went on carrying on coaching, and it's like, and then you get to the end of your session, and the mentor was like, oh, it didn't work. The whole session didn't work. And I said, well, why do you think? He said, because the pitch was too small, and you knew that, and you said you were going to do something about it, and you didn't do it. And taking that on the chin and saying, yeah, well, actually, you learn from that, and rather than sort of blaming anyone else. I think sometimes you have to learn from that mistake, and you don't do it again, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
What about
Um,
on the business side?
yeah, business. I think with our business, it's a lot of logistics, making sure the right coach at the right session at the right time, the right equipment, and he's brought his right documents and all that sort of stuff. And so I've probably managed over 10,000 sessions now in total, probably even more than that. I've never sort of spent the time to look at it, but out of those sessions, at times I've sent the coach to the complete wrong school, or I've sent the coach to the lunchtime club when it should have been the after school club. And I think at those sort of times, it's sort of then when you got called up at school and say, no, yeah, I mucked up yesterday. I sent the wrong coach. And I think a lot of the time, if you share your honesty and you say sorry, people respect the fact that you can hold your hands up. Whereas if you sort of blame the coach, or you blame, it's just not the right way to deal with people. And so that's definitely been a massive part of uSports, and the reason we haven't lost schools is because we are honest, we're open, and we hold our hands up to mistakes. But it's about making a mistake, dealing with it, and going forwards in the right way to show you're making an impact, I think.
Yeah.
But so yeah, and then I mean other business sort of side of things. At one point I got told that I'd gone over the VAT threshold, and all the money coming into my business, 20% of that had to be going to the tax man. And
Yeah.
I didn't actually. It sounds a bit naive running a business, but no one actually sits down and tells you this sort of stuff. Yeah. I think that was like a massive shock, and makes me think, oh, I should, rather than just focusing on the coaching and growing the schools, got to look at the actual the tax implementations of running a business, and the other things that go alongside that, the HR. Everyone's got human rights, employment rights, and trying to make sure that you stick to them, and alongside you can't just love the sports coaching, because if that's all you do, you've got like more of like a job as a sports coach rather than an actual business. And that's where I'm moving towards, is trying to move uSports into more of a business rather than me having a job sort of thing.
Yeah. So where did your interest in business actually start?
I don't know. When I was like 13, I remember going on to Vistaprint and drawing up these business cards, and
Oh yeah.
I set up in the summer there was a water hosepipe ban, so I set up a waterless car washing company, and I would knock on all my neighbours' doors and say, look, I just had this like spray bottle basically and a cloth, and I would go around. I had no training or anything, but I'd go and spend 3 hours cleaning the car for £8 or something.
Yeah.
Plus, as soon as the whole between 13 and 20, I did paper rounds as well. So I had that sort of. I was up at 6 o'clock every morning, and I would go and do one paper round to earn £2, and then be out for like an hour and a half and come back. And then it got to then there was another paper round that needed covered, and another one. So when I was like 14, 15 years old, I was earning okay-ish money for someone who couldn't even get like a normal job sort of thing. And I think I was always willing to work hard to build my finances, really, because I always wanted to be in a position where I could, if I wanted to go, just little things like going out for dinner, I didn't want to have to really consider whether I could go out for dinner or not. I wanted to make sure that if my friend was in town and he wanted to go out for a meal, and we could, sort of thing. So there was that. I also once I was cycling around my local sort of neighbourhood, and I was sort of peeking over the fences to see if they had apple trees, and if they did, I would knock on the door and I would say, look, I'll pick 5 carrier bags full of apples for £10. And I'd jump up in the tree and pick as many apples as I could in as little time as possible. I've always had that sort of drive to sort of create money for myself, not necessarily just having a job. But alongside that, I've always, I have worked for other people, and sort of taught me a lot about how not to manage people, how to manage people. I had some fantastic leaders and some not so good ones, but yeah, trying to bring the two together was a massive passion for me.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. All right, well, let's go on to coaching for a second again. Then you mentioned there, you've had some great leaders and some not so great leaders. In terms of like the best coaches that you see, what are kind of the kind of overall traits that are maybe associated with those coaches that you think, wow, those guys are really good at their job, sort of thing?
Yeah, sure. I think with a coach, it's not necessarily like there's like you have to be loud to be a coach. So
Yeah,
it'd be easy to sell. It's the loud ones, but it's the coaches that care, and you can see that they really have a passion for developing young people in sport. And however they do that, they might be quite softly spoken, but actually if they can do that whilst maintaining the behaviour management and the children are listening to them and learning, then I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. I'm not saying everyone needs to be really loud and singing and dancing, but it's about, are they having an impact on those children? And that then goes into what do they do after the session as well? Like, how do they hold themselves outside of? Because it's all good being really professional in the session and then getting in your car and speeding off down the road with your music blasting out. So it's everything that comes in. It's not just the hour session. It's the how do you greet them? How do you make the kids remember you? And a lot of that comes down. I think a lot of it comes down to rewarding positive behaviour. So I talk quite a lot about catching in rather than catching out. A lot of people like to catch kids out, and they're like, "Oh, stop talking over me," or "Oh, come on, I've asked you to come in now." So you're giving attention to kids who aren't doing the right thing.
yeah,
And actually, I like to talk about the catching in. So you ask them to come in, and it's the first kid comes in, right, sits down just right in front of you, and it's like a big high five, well done, loads of attention on the kids who are doing the right thing, and then the others just follow. And I think people who can maintain that positivity throughout the session, but also if needed, the behaviour management is there if they need to use it, but it's about creating boundaries so they don't actually have to ever sit a child out because they've created the right boundaries, rather than not setting your boundaries and then just randomly sitting a kid out, sort of thing. Which won't do. And when I say sit a kid out, I'm talking before they even get off the pitch to sit out. You ask them, are they going to do it again? They say no. You join them back in, so they don't miss anything, but they're aware of, listen, you're here to learn. You're not here to sort of muck around, sort of thing.
yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. So, oh, excuse me, I'm dying.
Yeah, that 8 a.m. start, I think, Nathaniel.
Yeah, no, you are killing me off, Charlie. No, it's good. I should get up earlier, to be honest. Oh well. So is that that's so interesting. I need to take notes on that. Because I like that a lot, the kind of catching in thing. I do that kind of inadvertently sometimes. I sometimes go, if I want them to line up on a line, I'll say thank you to the people that are on the line, and then everyone does kind of look at you, and go, oh, okay, and then just follow on rather than messing about or whatever.
Yeah.
So in terms of like, it just really interests me that you started this all by yourself, and then we had a meeting recently, and it struck me how much you pushed for kind of a team environment, and it's less that you're. I mean, I say you're my boss, but it doesn't really feel like it. For example, I'm literally on a podcast with you.
Yeah,
sure. I'm sure people can tell it's quite casual, so I don't know. Is it kind of something you push to try and make it more of a kind of team environment within the company?
Yeah, I think it's strange because the position I'm in right now, I've never been in this position, managing this many people, and then I'll get used to this, and even just the first few months. So when I had 2 people working for me and just part-time coaches, and that was new to me. And then now I'm in a completely different position, and in 2 years' time, I would hope to be in a different position, managing way more people. And I think ultimately I learned very quickly that you have to have trust in your team. And I think the biggest thing for people to want to work as part of a team and to, you know, work hard is down to respect and whether you are respected in what you're doing. And I think that's, you know, I make mistakes all the time and imagine people, you know, it's hard to, sometimes someone's doing the wrong thing. How do you approach that? And, but definitely as a team, you know, we're all wearing the same badge, we're representing the same company. And I think it can't be when you're coaching, it's the Nat show, and then when it's someone else, when it's Johnny coaching, it's the Johnny show, you know.
Yeah.
And when Charlie comes in, it's the no, it's the uSports philosophy and driving that in. And actually, as a team, people like to be part of a team when they're respected, I think. And no, as I've grown, I know that my obviously my part-time coaches aren't in the office all the time, but the full-time coaches are quite often in there. And to have a team around you is you know, makes such a big impact. I think when I first started uSports, I was sort of, you know, all over the place. And whereas when you've got people relying on, or not relying on you, but around you, it creates that atmosphere of just everyone chipping in, and you see somebody else just cracking on and doing a session they didn't want to do, and you know, then you'll do it, and everyone else will do it because they're seeing each other, and so it's getting the positive things out of everyone, praising it, and growing it. So it is a hard when, you know, maybe sometimes I'll see you once every 2 weeks, if that sometimes. And how do you develop that as a team? Yeah. It comes with challenges, but I think that is sort of like just the nature of a sports coaching company. Unless if you've got everyone full time, they're all coming in the office every morning. Like, yeah, it's about when you do get that opportunity to go in there and meet people, it's reminding them that they are respected and thanked. And quite often I'll just send out of the blue, just send a message to a coach I haven't seen for a couple of weeks, and I just say, look, just a quick one, just, you know, really thank you for all your hard work. I know I haven't seen you recently, but I'm hearing great things, and children are loving it. We've had more kids, but something so short and quick, a little WhatsApp message like that, has sometimes more of an impact than saying, oh, you're doing well, I'm going to put you up £5 an hour or something like that. You know, it's there's the little things that people respect, I think, and try and grow a team is people need to feel like they're respected by the leaders in that group.
Yeah. That's a really, really great point, and something I'm really big on as well. You know, gratitude is such a massive part of like the kind of the reward cycle. You know, because like you say, you can pay people more money, etc. But it's amazing how far gratitude goes in. Not just in terms of like a business sense, but in like most things in life, just being grateful for, you know, having a roof over your head, etc. is so important. Especially when it comes to things like mental health. So you mentioned you being a really great guest, Charlie. Thank you so much for coming on. You mentioned challenges, and I just wanted to know what are the biggest challenges you face currently running such a business that's growing so fast.
Yeah, I would say the challenges of making I guess with a business you have two parts, right? Of bringing in new customers and new schools and trying to bring them in, but there's no point doing that if you're losing them at the other end. So I think the challenges are that you want to maintain the high quality service that I set out. You know, when it was me going out there every day, and it was just me, I could control the quality of service that was being delivered. And that's the challenge now is, well, like yesterday we had 20 coaches working between 3 o'clock and 4:30, you know, and okay, well, how can I rely on everyone else there? And that is a massive challenge. I think the other challenge comes in with trying to bring in new customers is always going to be a bit of a battle, because it's, you know, everyone's fighting for the same sort of work, and sports coaching is, you know, around us there's probably like 10 other sports coaching companies within 5 minutes from where we're based, and trying to keep that there. Plus, like, social media is crazy. You know, you could schedule everything out, but you're never going to schedule enough post for the whole lifetime of the business, so it's like a never-ending job, which always is ticking over in the background. And social media nowadays has such a massive part on how people feel your business is going and stuff. So and if you're rarely posting and you're very quiet, you don't reply to comments and stuff like that, like that slows your business growth down as well. But as a coach, I think it's my passion for coaching is that I want every child to be safe. Obviously, I want them to have fun, but I also want them to be learning a new skill or learning how to play the game. And from that is the challenge. How do I make sure that every person that's working under uSports is delivering that high quality service? I think that's for the coaching side of things, that's the hardest thing. But also the best thing as well, because people without people, the business would be nothing. So you have to. Sometimes you hear people moaning about managing people and whatever, but actually, yes, people management is difficult, but you try building a team with no people, sort of thing. Like you need to have that strong people in your team, and once you work like now, look at just yourself, for example. I see I popped in one of your sessions recently, and like the kids were loving that session, and that's that gives me a little kick. I go down to a session, and one of my coaches is there, doing exactly what I would do, and or better. Like that's where I'm like, wow, this is why I set uSports up. It's. And sometimes you pop up on sessions and maybe things aren't going quite how you thought they would go, but when you get moments like that, it reminds you that this is exactly what we're about.
That's so interesting. Okay, cool. Well, in terms of like how you're planning on kind of growing the business, you mentioned this a tiny bit earlier, but what are your kind of have you set out a plan, a kind of future plan of where you want the business to go, or are you just kind of letting it evolve as it goes and then you kind of adapt when it changes, sort of thing?
I think because I see a lot of sports coaching companies and they franchise out, so they let other people use uSports, but up in Liverpool rather than in Reading, sort of thing. And so that's an option. It costs a lot of money, and obviously then you're sort of selling your brand away to somebody, and you're putting that in the hands of someone else. And if you don't like the way they're doing it, it's not like you can just take it back. They've committed their lifestyle towards it, and plus, but then you've also got the other coaching companies seems to just have like one massive office, like a hub in one place, and they just work from there, and they just they started maybe with like a 20-minute radius around that office, and they just grow it 30, 40, 50 minute radius, and that can be an option. At the moment, it's not like it's difficult to sort of set that plan in. At the moment, I just want to make sure the quality stays strong. We're now doing sessions out in Newbury, which is about 40 minutes away from where we're based. We go up to High Wycombe. We're based in Reading, and that as we grow, it's sort of at the moment it's feeling like, well, I'm happy. I've got an office. We've got good people in the office, and it's working, going that way. But it's a very sort of difficult part. I just know like a massive thing for me is just maintaining customers. I'd much rather keep a customer rather than lose one and bring in two. It sounds silly, but because by losing that one, you don't know who they're going to speak to, and like schools head teachers often meet up. For example, if you get a bad name out, say for whatever reason, then that can have although directly you only lose one, but another 10 will never come to you. So that's a massive thing for me, like keeping the quality of where we're at. But I do want to keep growing the business. I want to create more opportunities. People like yourself, for example, part-time coaches who actually can come in. I've had 4 part-time coaches now who have now come on the payroll, and they're full-time coaches, and that's where that's nice to be part of their growth as coaches and as people growing up as well.
So I mean, Wow, I just had a total mind blank. That's great. It really is. It really is too early in the morning. Um, it's like,
I've been out for a dog walk this morning.
oh God,
I
even
don't-
don't.
yeah. I used to be really bad though. Waking up in the morning, it was. I just couldn't do it. But then I was quite productive in the evenings, so it's fine. Whereas now, like after 6 o'clock, I'm frazzled. So now I'm just chilling out, and then get up nice and early in the morning. I've sort of gone that way now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think do you have to you have to train yourself surely because if you're not a morning person, which I am not, and anyone who's met me will tell you I just don't like mornings. I just don't, it's
No.
not that I'm not grumpy. I just don't. I'm just not awake. I'm not
Yeah.
functioning at all.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I've sort of you look at like some of the most successful people in the world, sports people like Ronaldo's daily routine will be completely different to like Zlatan Ibrahimovic's daily routine. One of
yeah,
them might get up at 5 o'clock, have an ice bath, whereas one of them might get up at 8 o'clock and have a shower and shoot off, sort of thing. And
yeah,
people have different things, and it's I don't know. Personally, for me, I feel quite alert and awake. And at the moment, with the clocks going back, it's nice to be up when the lights out because it's so dark. It gets dark so early now. So
yeah.
yeah,
I'm not looking forward to that at all.
no,
I have remembered my question now. It's okay.
yeah,
I mean,
sure.
it's fine. In terms of like how you first found, obviously, I mean, I found you through Indeed, the job website.
Mm,
Um, and in terms of how you first, because we've already said you started this business on your own.
mm,
You did quite a few sessions just on your own as an individual person as the company.
mm.
In terms of how you found people to do, the HR side, the payroll, etc. How was it? Was it a kind of a weird experience trying to employ someone for that kind of job?
Yeah, it was a little. It sort of came naturally to a point because you know I think when you start a business like this, like loads of your listeners, I'm sure, could go into a school, offer them a judo after school club or something, and then that kicks off and it grows. But it's not like from that first session you're going to think, right, I'm going to start paying a bookkeeper on X amount a month as a retainer because you're not going to do that. It's not realistic.
Yeah,
So I think you will realise when you get to the end of your account, like your first financial year, and you look at your messy Excel spreadsheet, which just looks like a massive jumble of numbers and letter, and you can't work out. And that's when you think, all right, okay, yeah, maybe I need to get a bookkeeper in, and then it's like your HR people, once something, you weren't quite sure on once someone sort of like asked you something about their contract or something, and this that's where you think, right, okay, maybe this is the point I need to get a HR person. But when you start a business, you're not going to suddenly have like all these different people on retainers, look just in case somebody aren't, because it's so difficult to even sustain a business that it's so difficult to start a business and sustain it that you're going to focus on it, making sure that it's actually viable, you doing it first, and then it's sort of like when those barriers come up, it's just dealing with it, and yeah. But I think so that's that one side of it. But the coaching is, I think, is coaching is quite a nice community. I think where people know people, and yeah, people have played rugby with this guy, and he's interested in coaching work, and
yeah,
oh yeah, he used to work for this other guy, and so although we do put stuff out on like job websites, we also get a lot of people just who have maybe heard of us or their friend already works for us, and
yeah,
and they sort of we've been recommended to them, and that's quite a nice thing. Obviously, that doesn't happen from the start, but once people start to know you, then that does come about as well.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's sort of like just building that team together is when I could have kept my sessions just and I could have just been doing all the sessions myself, but you would never get to a point where you had 200 sessions a week, because it gets to a point where you're maxed out, and at what point what do you do with that? So it got to a point for me where I had to say, right, I'm going to step away. Somebody else is going to lead this club, and this is my little, this is the club I started uSports on, but I'm
yeah,
trusting you with it, and that's not easy to do. But actually, once you get good coaches like yourself in, then you haven't got a problem with that. Like, people can do that. There's no problem at all. So, yeah, just it's hard to let go, but when you do, it opens up other opportunities.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, fair enough. That's really interesting. I love that. So, I guess this is kind of a selfish question because I want to know. But what would be kind of your best advice? I feel like you've already kind of semi-answered this question through what we've been talking about before. But what would be kind of your best advice to someone starting a business?
Yeah. So, yeah, I think across all businesses, it's about like just get started, and that doesn't mean right. Okay, you have to stop your full-time role, which is paying the bills sort of thing. But people talk about like having a side hustle or something like that. But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, it's no jobs work well. Not a huge amount of jobs are working you sort of 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. Most people are working 8, 9, 10 hour days. So there are, you look at that time, most people maybe spend an hour, 2 hours watching TV or playing video games, but actually if you can just start that thing and you just go for it, whether it's you want to start a PT business or get going, and whether that's just by going on and getting a business card, or whether it's setting up a website. And a website's not expensive to set up. You can set it up and you've got all your information there. And to be honest, like you could set up a website, pay Google to be at the top to be at the top of the search, and get business from it. But I would say starting a business is, yeah, definitely just start, and then as it grows, decide like, right, maybe that 5 day a week job you've got already, maybe you can cut that down to 3, spend a bit more time on your business, and grow from there. Alongside just be honest when you are starting up that business. You've got to be honest with yourself. It's not going to suddenly like fly up. I was listening to your podcast with your PT speaker yesterday, when I was driving home, and he was saying about when he first started, it took a while, and he sort of got to a point where he said, right, it was Christmas had finished and New Year's, and he got his head down and said, look, right, I'm really going to hit it now. I'm going to build relationships with people and try and get work. And that's what you got to do. Definitely just got to get out in this out there. Work doesn't just come to you. Just because you started a business doesn't mean work comes to you. But if you're out, for me, it was just go and stand outside a school gate and hand out flyers to my football holiday camps. And the head teachers would come out and tell you to move on, sort of thing. And but at the end of the day, like, I knew that every parent I was giving a flyer to had a child who might be interested in football, and I was a bit sort of off the book. Like, you wouldn't find that advice, like the standard advice. But actually, it's just getting out there and trying to build that customer base. And then once you do or if you maybe found something that you're good at in the past, if you've got any references or testimonials or anything, just put that somewhere, because once people see that other people trust you, it makes such a big difference. You look at Amazon, like the best selling products are the ones that have the most reviews, like, because people trust people. So when you start a business, it's definitely important that you get those just, even if it's just a parent, but don't blag it. Some people would maybe start a business and just make up some random testimonial.
yeah.
I don't. You could easily do that, but I don't think it's the right way. And you got to be honest. And
Yeah, it's the honesty thing, isn't it? You've got to.
Yeah.
If you're going to be honest in everything you do, then it might as well start from the beginning as well as a testimonial sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously it's the standard stuff of going to your accountant and actually getting set up, like the tax, being incorporated with HMRC, and because the last thing you want is the tax man knocking on your door telling you owe God knows how much money. So definitely that side of things, and then just whatever you start your business in, make sure you have a passion in it. Like talk about I know, like your podcast, for example, like you can tell you have a passion in what you're doing, and that's what makes the difference between if someone else is just trying to start a podcast type of thing just to make money, then that probably won't kick off. Whereas I'm not sure what your plans are to monetize, but that's not the point. It's the fact that what you're doing is you're passionate about something, and often, like, I was passionate about sports, and then and sports coaching, and then the money came with it. It's not like I didn't start to make loads of money. I started because I loved sports coaching, and that was what I was good at, and that's what I loved. And your PT guy yesterday, you see, just had a passion for helping other people get fitter and stronger, and whatever it is, because you're going to live and breathe your business. And I'll wake up at in the morning, and I maybe have someone who's WhatsApp me at midnight last night telling me they can't do a session, or it's going to be something that is going to be around you all the time, and you're going to go to sleep. Last thing you look at is your business sometimes, and you wake up and you look at your business, and then you're at work working on your business all day, and if you weren't actually passionate about what you were doing, then that fire would slowly run out, I think, and it would just become like a chore, and that's what you don't want to be doing. There's privileges of running a business, and one of them is that you get to do the job you love, right? And I think that's where my biggest advice is, whatever it is, be passionate about it, and go from there. Yeah.
I mean, I resonate with that so much, because I did an episode on that actually, but no one's. I mean, I say no one. I've had, I mean, less views than most of the episodes for it. But I've heard this multiple times with different guests, and I think you probably put it best there, is the kind of the motivation behind why you do something. So if someone is thinking about, if you've listened to the PT episode and you think, yeah, I want to be a PT, or you're listening to this episode and go, yeah, I want to get into coaching, or you listen to the prison episode and go, yeah, I want to become a psychologist, then any of those, if the motivation is there, it's like you say, if you're driven by money, then that can be a good thing. If your passion is money, I guess, if that's the way of saying it. And I think it sounds a bit stupid, because some people are going to go, well, of course your passion is money. You need money to live, sort of thing. But I really mean like a genuine passion that's going to get you up in the morning and go, okay, I can do this, rather than going, oh, do I have to? It's just this is a horrible job or whatever. Like it always comes back to why you're doing it. If you're doing it for the right reason that is so important to you, then you're always gonna, like you say, the money will always come with that. And it's like you mentioned with the podcast, I'm kind of there is in the works a kind of a company that I might be able to, that are going to probably come on and do maybe an episode, and then every time I have an episode at the start or maybe the end, they'll have a little segment where they say what they are and what they do.
Nice.
So that'd be really interesting. But I'm not planning on monetizing anytime soon, because, like you say, I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because I just enjoy talking to people about stuff they're interested in. So whether or not you're doing it for money, and if money is that drive, then fair enough, because I think there are people out there that have that drive. But if it's not, and you're doing a job purely because you just want some money, but you're not actually passionate about it, especially if you're starting that whole business. Because like you say, if you're going to be doing it, because I can imagine, I mean, I haven't started my business yet, but I can imagine that a lot of people are going to go, yeah, that's right. When you say, you go to bed thinking about your business, you wake up thinking about your business, then you go to work, which is your business, and then home and you're thinking about your business, etc. It does become your life almost. But along the same note, do you have a kind of a calm down kind of self-care plan where you go, I'm thinking about too much about the business, I need to go on holiday, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. For me personally, it's when I'm on a dog. So I take my dog for a walk every morning, and that is time where I just won't have my phone out. I'll just be like just enjoying a walk with with family, and just getting out and just getting away from the business, which is nice. But then, although I'm maybe not working on the business, I will still have things on my mind. And what's great for me is my partner is so supportive with it, and I think it could be difficult for a business owner to sort of get home and that something really bad has happened, and you have to stay quiet because your partner doesn't want to know about it because work time and so. So for me, it's nice, but by being able to get that off my chest for 5 minutes means I can sort of relax for the whole evening. And yeah, so like on a day, because day to day it has to be right. I think if you just have a holiday booked for in 4 months' time and you're just grinding through the days just to have a 1 week lovely holiday and then you're grinding for 4 months again, that's not the right way to do it. It's trying to create that daily lifestyle which you can manage and that you're happy with. So definitely as a business owner, things are going to happen that you're not expecting, and for me, having that supportive person there is great. But alongside that, exercise is massive. So my walk, but I'll also play a bit of futsal, I'll go for runs, and whenever you're doing that, whenever you're out on a run, you're not going to just be emailing people. You're not going to be suddenly stopping your run to WhatsApp someone about their session tomorrow. You just spend that time to yourself, which is good. Plus, I know it sounds a bit funny, but like for me, like video games are a nice sort of escape as well from. I'm not saying like go and play video games all day every day, but actually sometimes video games can have like a bad sort of connotation to them. But actually, it's for me it's a nice sort of escape from reality, and sort of can just get in and like absorbed into a game for 30 minutes an hour, and and then step out and feel a bit refreshed from that as well. And maybe something people don't talk about all the time, but video games are a good sort of escape from reality. And sometimes you need that as a business owner. You just need to get away from it. And it's an easy thing to do as well.
No, it's a good point. I think if my dad was listening, I think he does listen to my podcast. He doesn't talk about it very often. But he often says, if you have a problem, which I think a lot of business owners don't necessarily have, but something on your mind at least.
Yeah.
If you go to sleep, your brain kind of shuts down to the point where all of the important information that you really want to think about starts to get thought about. And when people wake up and they're like, oh, I've just had this like brainwave sort of thing.
Wow. Yeah.
I guess it's the kind of, if you do something like you say, the escapism, if you do something, so you go for a run, so you get a lot of oxygen to your brain, or you play video games so that you're not focused on your business at all, it gives your prefrontal cortex a chance to process everything you've been thinking about. And a lot of the time, if it happens to me when I'm driving. If I'm driving, I'll just have this sudden like, oh my god, that's such a good idea, or like, oh, that's the solution sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just because my mind's kind of taken back into a state of like a constant. I'm like a video game. I'm doing something, but you've got enough capacity in your brain to still think about the other problem, just not consciously, I guess. Driving, kind of the perfect example of that. You're constantly aware of the road and what's going on around you to the point where your attention is taken up, but not enough that you're fully concentrating all the time, sort of thing.
I completely, and that's really interesting what you say about the sleep, and I can definitely resonate with the driving thing as well, because I'll be in the office for like 3 hours sometimes in the morning, sat next to my administrator, Danielle, and I'll be just cracking on with my work or whatever, and she'll be doing hers, and then I'll drive to a session, and then I'll be like, I'll call her once, and Danielle, I forgot to say, but, and then I'll put the phone down, and then I'll call her again, and because things like so many things are coming to my mind because I'm not focused on the emails I'm doing, or I'm just driving, and then suddenly Lisa, oh yeah, Danielle, can you do that? Oh, Danielle, can you do that? And I can definitely resonate with that. That's one of those because it just gives your time, your brain time. Your body sort of goes into autopilot driving somewhere, but your brain can sort of like, hopefully without causing any collisions, but it can sort of like wander off, right? Definitely.
Well, this has been so interesting. Unfortunately, it's a real shame we're going to have to wrap it up here. But I'd definitely love to get you on again because I've got 1,000 more questions I can ask you. So thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. It was a really good chat, and hopefully the people listening you guys have had some kind of insight into running a business, and maybe if you're thinking about a similar sort of thing, hopefully it's helped. So yeah,
Yeah, definitely. And I would always say as well to anyone who is interested, like
yeah,
if somebody's interested in setting up a business or going into coaching, feel free to find me on LinkedIn or on our Facebook page or whatever. So yeah, Charlie Hiscox, and it's uSports, so the letter U and then sports. So if these guys want to like just drop me a message and maybe spend 5 minutes on the phone, or whatever, I'm like more than happy to share anything with them. But yeah, I've really enjoyed the chat. It's been really good, and yeah, we'd love to be a guest again at some point in the future.
yeah, that'd be great. Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
excellent.
Yeah, thank you very much. So everyone listening, I'll see you all soon. So yeah, that's goodbye from me, goodbye from Charlie, and yeah, have a good day.